Who would have thought? Amid the army's hopes of his return, Jungkook secretly does something no one ever imagined. What is it really hiding? Why didn't he talk about this to anyone, not even the other BTS members? Was this the real reason behind her tears that night? This surprising fact was finally revealed and make the army speechless. Jungkook secretly did this before coming back. The army didn't. Before his return, Jungkook did something that shocked the army. Are you ready to accept the fact that not all truth can be revealed in front of the camera? And do you really know the figure of Jungkook, BTS's beloved magne, who has always looked strong, warm, and full of spirit? What if in reality, far behind the smile and wave of his hand before returning, he was hiding something that even HYB's staff were astonished by? And more importantly, why did Jungkook choose to keep everything tight until now? That night, no one suspected anything. Jungkook just looked calmer than usual, as if he had accepted everything. But one question hangs in the air, a question that is now at the center of the army's attention. What exactly did Jungkook do before he disappeared from the public and returned to his duties? Why was there a sudden sadness in his eyes when he greeted the fans one last time? And who is the mysterious woman who reportedly appeared a few days before his departure? His rehearsal room remained dark that night, but security HYB noted that someone accessed the room at 2:14 a.m. And after the CCTV footage was checked, it turned out to be true. Jungkook came alone, without a manager, without bodyguards, without notification. Then why did he come in the middle of the night only to stand in front of the mirror for over an hour, without saying a word? It doesn't stop there. A vocal coach, who did not want to be named, stated that Jungkook had recorded something personally, not a song, not a choreography rehearsal, but message. A video message that until now has never been published, not even in BTS's official content production archive. The question is, who is this message intended for? And why does Jungkook seem to hold back tears throughout the video? More surprisingly, internal sources suggested that the message may have been some kind of emotional testament, not in the sense of death, but something Jungkook left behind for someone very special to him. Is that the army? Or someone who's always been his biggest reason for staying? Other evidence emerged from personal schedules that had been leaked in limited circles. Before his departure, Jungkook had visited a very personal place, a small house far from Seoul, where he lived as a trainee. None of the media was aware of this visit. He left without bodyguards, wearing only a black hoodie and a mask. He stood for a long time in front of the old house. A neighbor who knew little Jungkook cried when asked. He didn't come back as an idol, but as a child looking for the remnants of his childhood. What was he really looking for in that place? Memories? Calm? Or forgiveness? As it turns out, the house holds an even bigger secret. It's where Jungkook wrote his first song, a song he hid from the world, a song about someone very important he couldn't have. And some very observant fans discovered that the song he had sung in a live broadcast before the hiatus. But no one knows what it means. Is that a sign? Is Jungkook trying to give the world one last signal before he leaves? But the most surprising thing came from Jimin. In a seemingly casual interview, Jimin briefly pauses when talking about Jungkook. He was silent for 12 seconds, and when asked what he was thinking, he simply replied, "I hope he has no regrets." Why did Jim say that? Does he know something that even the army doesn't know yet? Meanwhile, a mysterious message appeared in the fan community. An old account, which Jungkook allegedly owned before his debut, was suddenly active and posted one sentence. "If one day I can't explain everything, please forgive me for choosing silence." The upload was immediately deleted 7 minutes later, but the screenshot has been widely circulated. Suddenly, the army split. Some feel it's just a coincidence. But others, especially longtime fans who have followed Jungkook since pre-debut, believe that this is a very personal signal. The question is, shut up for what? And why does he feel the need to apologize? Is there a hidden conflict behind the harmonious image that they always display? Is Jungkook's departure not just because of duty, but also an escape from something that has been pressing him all this time? Of the leaked voice recording, which has yet to be verified but contains a voice very similar to Jungkook's, he said, "Sometimes I just want to go and let it all go without me." That sentence sounded low and was so emotional that it made the army who heard it cry. Because it's not the voice of Jungkook the idol. It's the voice of Jungkook the human. Are we all putting too much pressure on him with too great hopes, love, and expectations? One day before his return, Jungkook decided to play back old live recordings with the members. He rewatched the moments when they cried on stage, especially when V and Jimin hugged him at the last concert. There, he only said one word to the manager. "I don't know if I'll ever be the same again." That's no small statement. It was a burden he carried in silence, and when he finally stepped into the car at the airport and smiled into the camera, only ARMY really saw something different behind his eyes. A smile is not happiness. It was a little unspoken goodbye. What really happened in Jungkook's heart all this time? And does this mean that something has changed forever? The ARMY is waiting. But the question is, will what they are waiting for really return to normal? Or we've all noticed in his silence, Jungkook has said a lot of unspoken things. The public eye sees only the camera's spotlight. But what is not seen is the most shocking truth. When the world thinks that Jungkook's return to his duties is just a formality of a global star continuing his country's obligations, they forget one thing. Jungkook is a human being who harbors wounds. And that wound can't be hidden, not even by the 4K camera screen. The ARMY dug deeper to find additional clues in Jungkook's activities a few weeks before he left. Not on major social media, but from his secret Spotify playlist, which was updated privately and could only be tracked by those who paid attention to the smallest details. In it, the songs he chooses are not just any songs. They all tell about the departure, loss, and inability of a person to explain his pain to the world. The last song he added was titled, "Where Do We Go When We Disappear?" Obscure indie songs that many people don't know. If I vanish one day, will you remember the boy who danced in the rain? Is that Jungkook's personal reflection? Does he begin to question whether he will be remembered if one day he does not return as the same person? Even more disturbing, during the departure preparation process, Jungkook had rejected several important schedules. He ignored the last interview HYB had prepared and delayed recording promotional content. The reason? He asks for alone time, something unusual for him who is known to be very professional and dedicated. A HYB staff member whose identity was kept secret said in a trembling voice, "Jungkook looks like a person who wants to say goodbye, but not to the world on himself." Who exactly is Jungkook trying to say goodbye to secretly? Then, there is another undeniable fact. In one of the boxes of his personal belongings left to the family, a black journal was found, with the initials of the handwritten JK. The journal was not publicly accessible, but one of the pages was spotted while staff were helping to wrap items. One sentence was written there, in blue ink that began to fade. "If one day I stop singing, it's not because I don't love him, but because I don't know who I am anymore when I'm not on stage." The sentence shook. Even the most powerful ARMY could not hold back tears, because that sentence is not from a celebrity. It was from a young boy who felt his identity was lost in 1,000 spotlights. Have we, the ARMY and the public, unknowingly been part of the pressure that made Jungkook feel like he was losing himself? And again, there was a strange moment that happened on the last day he met BTS members before departure. They gather, eat together. Everything looks warm. But then, as the camera records a brief moment between Jungkook and Taeil, they exchange glances in silence. No words, no smiles. Only the view is difficult to explain. What was the silent conversation between the two friends? Is that a goodbye? Or an unspoken apology? Some fans believe that before returning, Jungkook had sent a personal message to Taeil and Jimin. But the message was never returned. Not because they didn't want to, but because it can only be understood if you know Jungkook outside of the public. Is the message too personal? Or is it just too painful? An even more emotional thing came when Jimin suddenly uploaded a photo of the night sky with the caption, "Not all light can you meet twice." A sentence that was immediately interpreted by fans as a symbol of longing, loss, or something deeper. Is this about Jungkook? Or about the message that they did not have time to finish before he left? Meanwhile, Taeil is seen playing piano melodies alone on the live broadcast. No sound, no words. But the melody is very familiar. ARMY recognized it as the intro of the first song Jungkook personally wrote, a song he never released. That song, It's Only for Taeil, and that night, for the first time, Taeil cried in front of the camera. Not because of something he said, but because of An unofficial video is circulating in the fan community, taken by someone who happened to see Jungkook in a very unusual location, a music therapy center on the outskirts of Seoul. It comes by itself, without staff, without control, wearing a low black hat and a shabby hoodie. But the look in his eyes could not be hidden from those who knew him so deeply. What was Jungkook doing there? A music therapist from the center, who declined to give his name for ethical reasons, said something that makes anyone's heart break. He didn't come to sing, but to be silent. He just sat in the therapy room for more than an hour, listening to the clang of the piano without saying anything. At the end of the session, she cried, wrote one sentence on our therapy paper, then left without a word. And that sentence: "Sometimes I wish I never knew the stage, so I could still love music." A statement so honest, so moving, and so heartbreaking. Has the entertainment world eroded his love for music that once made him dream? ARMY began to dig deeper. Some noticed that in the last live broadcast before Jungkook left, he briefly held his guitar for a long time. Not playing, just hold on, as if hesitating to touch it. There was a moment when he just said softly, "If I'm not here anymore, you're gonna keep singing, right?" The question that was originally considered a joke now feels like a farewell sign that not everyone catches in time, and a painful question arises among fans. Is Jungkook losing himself because the world is forcing him to keep smiling? Some netizens even linked Jungkook's reticence with internal rumors in HYB that had leaked. That before his departure, he asked for one thing that management did not agree to: the release of a secret song anonymously, without the frills of BTS Jungkook. His request was denied. HYB is considered too afraid of losing the brand. They refuse to let go of Jungkook's personal side of just wanting to create Carefree. This rejection, according to rumors, hit Jungkook very hard. He felt constrained, felt that he was no longer an artist, but a product. Then, is that the reason Jungkook wanted to quietly leave, without many messages, without many goodbyes? Several sources revealed that Jungkook asked the staff, "What happens if I don't come back after this?" A question that never gets a definitive answer. Jimin, who is known to be very close to him, had written a handwritten letter that was uploaded with ambiguous writing. "If you choose silence, I will learn to speak for two." And fans believe that this is intended for Jungkook, but more surprising was Jin's reaction. Before Jungkook's departure, Jin, who had just returned from the army, had met Jungkook personally. They talked face-to-face in a closed place, and until now the contents of their conversation have never been opened. But from the source who saw them coming out of the room, Jungkook cried. Jin hugged him for a long time, longer than a regular hug. And the faint-sounding phrase of the Jin is only one: "If all this is too much, you don't have to endure for anyone, but you have to go home for your own sake." That sentence resonates to this day. What really happened to Jungkook before he left? Did the pressure, expectations, and torn identity make him decide to disappear in silence for a moment? More than that, the army found one sound file on an underground forum, not claimed by anyone. But that voice can't be blamed. That's Jungkook's voice, and the recording lasting only 45 seconds. He can be heard speaking slowly, almost like a murmur. "If I come back, please don't ask me about the song, about the stage, about the performance. Just ask, am I happy?" Then, silence. Was this his last message before leaving? Or the first message before he returns as a new figure? What makes this even more heartbreaking is the fact that many of us, the fans, the media, even his agency, may have loved him in the wrong way. We love him because he is perfect, because he's always smiling, because he never refuses the spotlight. But did we ever love him when he chose silence, when he looked tired, when he was human? Now, the world awaits Jungkook's return. But the fear that arises is not about when. It's about how he gets back. Is he still the Jungkook we know? Or will there come a Jungkook who has given up all his